Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today, we're diving deep into a truly pivotal and often dramatic chapter in African history. We're talking about the 19th century, a time when the mighty Asante Empire, which had long dominated the forested heart of what we now call Ghana, found itself up against not just its African neighbors, but the immense power of European imperial expansion. In this episode, we're going to trace exactly how the Asante clashed head-on with European forces, fighting epic wars right on their own soil. These aren't just battles. These conflicts mark the beginning of a whole new chapter for the Asante, one defined by intense imperial confrontation and ultimately a tragic shift in their fortunes. I'm your host, and trust me, you won't want to miss a moment as we explore these great wars that reshaped the Asante Empire and brought it into direct collision with the British and their allies. Let's get into it. Now, to truly understand the fireworks, we need to rewind a bit and look at the roots of this brewing storm. As the Asante Empire expanded its reach towards the coast, a move we've touched on in previous episodes, they inevitably started rubbing shoulders with European trading forts, various powerful coastal states like the Fante, and, crucially, increasing British interests. The core of the problem was a massive clash of perspectives. The Asante saw themselves as the rightful overlords of the entire region. They expected tribute, recognition, and certainly didn't appreciate outsiders dictating terms on their perceived territory. The British, however, had a very different view. They resisted paying tribute for the forts they occupied along the coast, viewing them as their own sovereign outposts. Imagine that tension building up over years. As the Asante pushed to control vital coastal trade routes, the British were equally determined to secure their forts, protect their own trading interests, and, perhaps most importantly, prevent the Asante from achieving total dominance over the lucrative coast. It was a powder keg, just waiting for a spark. And spark it did. The first major, undeniable clash between the Asante and British interests erupted in the early 1820s. The Asante, always a formidable military power, made bold moves, invading coastal areas and fortifying their presence, which, as you can imagine, provoked swift British responses. A perfect example of this early period is the Catamanso War, also known as the Battle of Dodowa, which took place in 1826. This wasn't just a British affair. It was a powerful alliance of British forces, the Fante, the Ga, and other local groups who united to decisively defeat the Asante. This victory was a major turning point, effectively preventing the Asante from gaining full control of the coast. These early wars were crucial. They showed everyone that while the Asante were undeniably strong and incredibly brave warriors, European weaponry, their ability to forge powerful alliances, and their strategically located coastal fortifications could and would check the Asante's ambitious advance. The balance of power was starting to shift, even if subtly at first. Fast forward to the early 1870s, and the situation reached a boiling point once more. The Asante were absolutely alarmed when the British acquired the Dutch fort at Elmina in 1872. This move was a huge blow to the Asante, effectively cutting off their access to a major, vital coastal port for trade and communication. This was an affront they couldn't ignore. So in December 1873, the British launched a full-scale campaign under the leadership of the formidable Garnet Wolseley. An expeditionary force, well-equipped and determined, invaded the Asante heartland. They crossed the Pra River, fought a series of intense battles, and tragically entered Kumasi, the capital itself. The sheer audacity and success of this invasion were unprecedented. As a direct result of this brutal war, the Treaty of Fomena was signed in 1874. Under its harsh terms, the Asante were forced to renounce all their claims to the coast, pay major indemnities, a huge financial burden, and withdraw their troops. This wasn't just a defeat, it was a decisive turning point. The Asante Empire's long-held dream of controlling the coast, a dream that had driven so much of their expansion and power, was effectively shattered. The defeat and the subsequent treaty had repercussions that rippled far beyond the battlefield. It was like an earthquake, shaking the very foundations of the Asante Empire. Northern tributary states, sensing weakness in their once invincible overlords, began to break away, challenging the Asante's authority. The empire's military supremacy, which had been a cornerstone of its power for so long, was now visibly challenged. Economically and politically, the empire started to unravel. Crucial trade routes were disrupted, and the burden of paying indemnities diverted precious resources away from internal development. But perhaps even more profoundly, the Asante leaders and warriors realized a harsh truth. European military technology and logistical systems were, at this point, superior. While the Asante remained a powerful and influential force, the balance of power had irrevocably shifted. The British, emboldened by their victories, began to impose colonial structures, and the empire's cherished autonomy slowly but surely began to erode. It was a new, difficult era. But the story of these wars between the Asante and European powers isn't just one of defeat and decline. It's a complex narrative that profoundly reshaped the entire region. The Gold Coast, as it was then known, became a British colony, but Asante institutions, resilient and adaptable, found ways to endure and adapt. New paths were forged for trade and governance, often under challenging circumstances. The story of these conflicts teaches us invaluable lessons about resistance, about incredible adaptation, and about the sheer complexities that arise when powerful indigenous states meet the relentless ambition of colonial empires. It's a story that continues to resonate today. And speaking of continuing next episode, we will delve into the final resistance of the Asante. We'll cover the exile of the Asante Haine, the legendary uprising led by the fierce Ya Asantewa, and how the Asante ultimately transformed under British colonial rule. The Forest Kingdom stood tall for so long, but as the Redcoats marched inland, the Asante Empire entered its greatest struggle. From a confident inland sovereign to facing the full weight of European power, this episode has traced the moment the Asante Empire's path changed forever. Next time, we'll witness its last stand and incredible transformation. Don't miss it. If you found this journey into history as fascinating as I did, please hit that like button, subscribe for more epic stories, and share this video with anyone who loves history. Your support helps us keep bringing these important narratives to life. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.